What's going on? Cody here with another episode of Everybody's Top 3. Today I'm joined by Kristen.
What's up?
It's just going to be the two of us today, and we are going to do top 3 historical events. Want to start us off, Kristen?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off depressing and then get happier. Okay, that's the route I'm going to go, because I was going to go the other way, but I'm like, no, let's just get it out of the way. So my third one is the Challenger explosion. That happened in January of 1986, January 28th. But it wasn't really an explosion like they say. So the space shuttle was engulfed in a cloud of fire just 73 seconds after liftoff. So that's why everyone thought it was an explosion, but really it just broke apart.
I mean, a cloud of fire sounds like an explosion to me.
Well, nothing exploded because it was just like the temperature-wise is why the cloud was so big, because it was cold when they did it, which is part of the reason why it happened. So, like, it looked like an explosion, but it wasn't. It was just breaking apart.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and they were upset that NASA called it an explosion because they should be the ones that are like, no, wrong. But they're like, no, it's an explosion, even after finding out it wasn't.
Well, with everybody watching that, because, like, the whole world was watching that when it happened. So, like, with everybody watching it, I'm sure that NASA didn't have very much time to develop a narrative around it. Everybody saw it already, you know?
But it happened over Florida, the Atlantic Ocean next to Florida. I didn't write down what exact, whatever. But the spacecraft disintegrated over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Florida at 11:39 a.m. It began after a joint in its right solid rocket booster, the SRB, failed at liftoff. The failure was caused by the failure of the O-ring seals used in the joint that were not designed to handle the cold. It was like in the negatives when they did it.
Yeah, because
like there were icicles off of it.
Once you get into the atmosphere, it's really cold up there.
Yeah, and I didn't write who they asked, but like they were like, we shouldn't do this. Like one of the people that were going to be on, they're like, we shouldn't do it. There's icicles off. They're like, no, it should be okay. So those people probably feel really shitty. Whoever was like, okay, even though they're all like, no, we shouldn't. And the guy's like, nah, you should be good. Like, just scrape them off.
Yeah, just get rid of those icicles and we'll just do it.
So I did, unfortunately, look into if they all died right away because that was one of the top searches. And it made me really sad to look into that because I shouldn't have. I was just going to be like, yeah, they all died. So, like, 3 of them, you couldn't even tell who they were. But
I'm surprised they even found bodies.
Yeah, well, like the little cubicle thing they were in broke off right away. So they were alive in the sky away from everything else. Like they broke off.
Right.
And 3 of them tried to like escape, like by whatever I don't know what they were wearing, but something like made everyone know that they did try. And then they couldn't. And then they died.
I mean, that's just terrifying.
Like I was just like getting in their perspective and I'm like, I couldn't imagine what the fuck they were thinking, dude. Like, it makes me so sad.
Is this supposed to happen?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to happen? Because a lot of them weren't actually astronauts, right?
No, one of them was a teacher. Yeah, so I did write down their names, but some of them are hard to say, so I wasn't gonna, but fuck it. So the commander was Francis Scobie. The pilot was Michael J. Smith. There were 3 mission specialists. One was Ronald McNair, Allison, I can't say the last name, and Judith, can't say the last name. Then the payload specialist was Gregory Jarvis, and then the teacher was Krista McAuliffe. Yeah, but she was the teacher. Yeah, fucking sad though.
Have you ever talked to somebody that like
saw it,
like watched it live?
My grandpa did.
Yeah. A guy that I work with named Deshaun, he talked about it because I don't know why, but we were talking about 9/11 and shit like that, and I was telling him about, you know, how we saw 9/11 in school. And he's just like, yeah, that's really similar to when we had to watch Challenger.
Yeah.
Except, like, when 9/11 happened, it was 100% negative. Like, when we watched it in school, we weren't told that this was a positive thing. But when they were in school, they were like, everybody get around and watch this. This is educational. Like, this is important for us to watch.
So they were like,
yeah, wow. It was an exciting... For us, 9/11 was confusing at that age. We were like, well, what's going on here? For weeks, they were told, we're going to watch this. This is going to be a huge positive scientific event for the entire country. Like, and that was like, it was like planned all over the country. Pretty much every school in the country was like, we're stopping everything so we can watch this because it's such a huge moment in our history.
That makes it more sad to me.
Yeah, it was because we kind of were comparing it of which was worse, and that was his argument. He's like, ours was definitely worse because we thought we were watching this awesome,
no one knew
grand
9/11
thing.
was gonna happen.
Yeah, and well, not even that. Like,
Other than
even
Bush.
when we watched it, it was like we knew we were watching something horrible. Well, when they were told this is going to be like a great step forward in science, there's a teacher, a non-astronaut, going on basically a commercial flight to to space.
Yeah, they thought that. I remember that being a big deal, that there was a teacher on it.
And they just made everybody watch it. All the kids in school watched it live, thinking that they were watching some positive thing, and then they just watched a bunch of people blow up and like get incinerated.
That sucks. And Ronald Reagan was the president during that time. I didn't write this down, but he was going to do like a speech that night. I don't remember. I told myself I'd remember, but I lied to myself, I guess. But he was supposed to do a speech, and he like postponed that to talk about and like acknowledge the situation.
Yeah.
But that would be tough to be president. Well, I guess not really. Like, you'd have to like
as the president,
comfort the
I feel
country.
like that would be easy as the president.
Yeah.
We're going back to 9/11. That would be tough for the president because that involves making some huge choices.
That changes everything.
Yeah, for the country. As a president watching the Challenger blow up, you're just like, ugh, that sucks.
NASA do better.
Yeah. Well, NASA fucked this one up. You don't really have to make any choices after that of like, what do we do next?
Well, you'd have to figure out whose fault it really was,
But that's still that's NASA's problem. NASA,
That's
you go
true.
ahead and figure that out.
But yeah, it took me a while to figure out. But what happened in like the early 2000s? That was was it Columbia?
Columbine?
No, it was another explosion of a spaceship. But it happened in early 2000s.
Yeah, but was there anybody on it?
I don't know.
It
might have just been a liftoff malfunction.
Because not Tesla, what's the other company the SpaceX, I think they recently had a liftoff that failed, but I don't think there was anybody on it.
I think it was Columbia was the name of the spacecraft that failed, but I don't know if anybody was on it. It might have just been a test that failed.
I've heard of Columbia before, and I think I know what you're talking about.
It happened in the early 2000s, because it was like not mistaken by when I looked this up. It was like trying to get me to look up that. I'm like, no, I want to look up the Challengers. Stop. But I know there's a bunch of other like Apollos and stuff, because in astronomy we learn you know how Tom Hanks has that whole series of Apollo movies? I don't know if you knew that or not.
I know he has Apollo 13.
Well, he has like a whole series of learning about all of them.
Right.
And there's been a lot of like fuck ups.
Yeah.
Like minor ones, maybe not that big, but they were like minor enough to be. But he talked about all of them. He has a whole series of all of them.
Right. Have you ever heard any of the conspiracy theories surrounding Challenger?
No.
Some people think that the people on the Challenger are still alive and that it was all fake.
They think the moon landing's fake.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was going to do 9/11, to be honest, but I'm like too soon, and also Bush did 9/11. So I didn't want to get into conspiracy theories. That's for another podcast, but I almost did it. I almost was just like, Cody would love this, but I'm like, nah.
Well, I already know conspiracy theories about everything.
I know you do.
Like, people use the video of the Challenger as evidence that of flat Earth, and that where like there's water up above, like there's a firmament that protects us from the waters above, and they like, if you watch the video, they'll like break it down in slow motion and be like, see, this is where it didn't blow up. It was actually the Challenger actually pierced through the firmament and it went into the waters above, and what you're seeing, all that smoke, isn't actually smoke, it's water splashing.
Well, I mean, it was because of like temperature, like, I guess, but
I mean, yeah, it was definitely, it was
that.
a fire.
Do you believe that conspiracy?
No.
Okay, well, I didn't know, and I wasn't gonna judge you, but I hate reading.
It was fun to watch the videos about it, though.
It makes me nervous to read instead of just saying what I know, because I feel like I just like don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm like, fuck. But I know the other two really well, but I'm like, I don't know so much about it. It just made me sad to read about the deaths of them. Because that fucking sucks. Like, I can't imagine they're like, we shouldn't have exploded like that. But they died in they landed in the water in like 2 minutes. So it wasn't like a long time. Like, they didn't go up into space and like, no, they're going to die. But
that has to have changed a lot of people's minds about wanting to
Joining.
be astronauts.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's probably 100,000 kids who wanted to be astronauts and saw that happen and were like, I'm gonna change my career choice.
Space is terrifying, dude. Like Andre, he went to school a little bit for astronomy, and in that little bit he learned a whole bunch, and it was like, it's scary what they learn in college. Like to go in school you kind of learn about the basics, like, but he's like, when you go to college for it, it's a lot different. He's like, you learn a lot of the fucked up shit, and I'm like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, even just standing out at night and looking at the sky gives me anxiety.
Yeah, it's like we're literally little ants in this huge fucking universe, and so many problems.
It is legitimately at any point in time a fucking meteor could just smash into us, and that's it. No more fucking human race.
Because there's some that are like, you can't detect it. Like I was watching
when they come from the other side of the sun.
Yeah.
We can't see them coming until it's too late.
Yeah, I watched a doc on that, and I'm like, I'm done watching. I'm like, I don't want to finish this.
It's scary. It'll make you stay up at night like, oh man, what if it happens right now?
I'd rather watch about murderers. I'd rather watch that.
I feel like I can protect myself from a murderer. Yeah. I'm not fighting off a comet.
But what's your third, Cody?
My number 3 is Prohibition.
Word.
So Prohibition was the nationwide ban on the production, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages that lasted from 1920 to 1933 in the United States. It started as a progressive movement in the 19th century. After the ban, control of beer and liquor sales were taken by criminal gangs in many of the major cities in America. Secret bars called speakeasies began popping up all over the country. Many citizens on the country's borders began crossing into Mexico and Canada to get their booze, and other citizens began making a living making moonshine liquor. It is rumored that NASCAR was created by bootleggers practicing running from the police. It is also believed that in some places, local governments began poisoning bootleg liquor, resulting in thousands of deaths of American citizens. Our government gave up on Prohibition after they realized they needed the tax revenue from alcohol as our country sunk into the Great Depression.
So speakeasies, when I was in school, I thought that was the dopest thing, because they would they're hidden things, right? And you have like a little password to get in. They like slide open. Like I always vision that, like, what's the password? Like I'm like, I want that for like weed. Like have a hidden thing and be like, what's the like have a special knock or something.
The problem is pot dealers are too fucking lazy to do something like that creative.
I'm not though. I want to do it.
And like the whole speakeasy thing, it's not usually somebody buying, because booze is so much more social than weed. It's not really like, people don't necessarily just always want to buy booze and then take it home. They want to be in an environment where they can drink.
That's true.
So that was like the whole thing with speakeasies, is it was gave people a place to go to drink. But a lot of politicians ended up just going there. All the politicians that put it in place and made it a law started just going to speakeasies and buying booze illegally. It's a big part. I don't know if you ever had to read the book Animal Farm when you were in school. It's one of my favorite books. I've read it many times, and
as we know, I don't read.
Right.
But I do remember that book. Like I remember not details, but I do remember that book.
Yeah, I've read it many times. It's not very big. It's only like a 90-page book. I've read it probably 5 or 6 times. One time I read it in literally one day, like one sitting. I read the fucking thing. But that was a big part of it. I
feel like
the pigs were the leaders, and they made booze illegal. But then a big part of the book was you could always hear the pigs getting drunk and partying at night, and you could tell that they were getting drunk, and then the next day all the other animals could tell that they were hungover and shit, and that was just big. I think that was a big part of why Prohibition was a problem, because it was rules for ye and not for thee, or rules for thee and not for ye, whichever way it goes. But
yeah,
it was a lot of politicians saying this is illegal, you can't do it, but then doing it themselves, because it's everybody drinks.
Is that book why you don't like the government? Because it's like...
It's definitely why I don't like communism.
Yeah. but I mean, government sucks, dude.
It's a great book. I mean, if we ever do top 3 books, it's going to be up there. It's probably going to be my number 1.
If we ever do top 3 books, dude...
Yeah, you're probably not going to do that episode.
I actually have top 3 books. Thank you.
This coloring book here.
This SpongeBob coloring book. Love it.
This blank pad that I draw in is my favorite book.
hey, basically. But no, I've read a few books that I like. I just like movies. I'm not gonna read or watch anything I know I'm not gonna like. And reading.
But I mean, speaking of my distrust of the government, I think that right there is where part of where it comes from. Not necessarily a book, but the fact that the government will tell you you can't drink alcohol because it's for your own safety. You're not allowed to drink alcohol, but then they'll poison the alcohol and kill all their citizens.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, of course it's one of those situations where people are like, why don't you trust the government? And it's like, there's one reason. There's one thing that the government did that completely fucked over its citizens. And that's just, it's just one. It happens all the time. And to expect that it's not happening right now is retarded. It's legitimately retarded to think that the government isn't trying to fuck you over right now.
Are we talking about COVID?
I'm talking about before COVID.
Okay.
Before COVID. Like, even in 2019, I would have said the exact same thing. You're a retard if you think the government's not trying to take advantage of you.
My goal is to literally be on the DL for the rest of my life. I don't know. Like, I feel like you really are DL. Like, you are really on the down low. You live in the woods.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know. You really are off the grid, kinda.
I mean, what do you mean? I don't know if I agree.
Wait, you don't agree with that?
I don't think I'm off the grid.
I mean, close, though. You're not totally off it, but I feel like you're one of my only friends that are that much off the grid than anyone else.
What do you mean by the grid? Are you saying...
Like...
Because I'm definitely in the government system. That's for sure.
Duh. But I mean, like, you definitely...
I collected unemployment for the past
You're just
fucking
private.
year.
You're a really private person. You're not out there, like, social media wise. You don't
yeah.
put yourself out there. You're very private. Is what I mean by off the grid. But no, you definitely are in the government system, as we have to be. You don't like.
I wish I wasn't. Like, part of me wishes I was one of those people that lives out in the woods and just hunts what they eat and grows what they eat all the time. But.
That's my dad's dream.
like video games.
That's true.
I appreciate electricity.
And movies. You love movies. But I just mean, like, you definitely are, like, one of the most private people I know. And that's awesome. I'm trying to get there.
I just don't believe in putting my personal shit out there. Mm-hmm. No, it's not even, like... I just see how little I care about other people's personal shit, and I'm like, I don't expect anybody to care about mine.
I'm not even kidding. Getting rid of Facebook made me so much happier as a person.
It's all, like, social media in general, people just use it for, like, social points.
Yeah.
You know, like, you get, that's, like, I cannot stand when people post something when, like, a friend of theirs dies or a relative of theirs dies, and then people get on and say, I'm so sorry for your loss. And it's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. You're just not. Like, you don't even know this person. You wouldn't have cared if they never posted it on Facebook. And if they told you in your face, you probably would have even said that. Yeah. You're just saying it because now everybody can see that you're saying it. And they're like, oh, that's a good person right there. It's like, that's suck my dick. You don't fucking care.
And I turn my Instagram page to a makeup page. That's it. And then I do sometimes in my story post, like, political views. But I try not to do that.
I don't.
Sometimes they need to know, you know. Like
I don't know enough about politics to really post or like to get in like a real debate with somebody about it. But I think I know enough to question people.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get in situations with my buddy Jordan all the time about like discussing politics, and a lot of times I don't try to make points exactly. I just try to question the points that he's making.
Yeah.
You know, like, I try to fucking point out the flaws, because he's very liberal. He's very democratic. And I'm just like, well, he'll say something, and I'll be like, okay, well, what about this? Because there's always
You're
more
very
than
much
one...
in the middle.
Yeah, there's always more than one side to every situation, you know? And there's always more than one way to interpret every situation. So I always try to bring that out of people, because people get so dead set on their views that they get tunnel vision. They don't look left or right. They just look forward. And I'm always like, well, maybe you should look left and right and try and figure out a place in the middle, because that's really where we need to be, because if you're all the way left and this person's all the way right, then you're never going to fucking get along. You're never going to figure anything out. You got to be able to ask questions that go right down the middle.
That's why I love our circle, because we literally are all pretty open-minded when it comes to things. Like, we all can discuss, and it doesn't turn into, like, a big thing. Mm-hmm. Normally, you're the one that questions everything, which is good, because we all need that.
Everybody needs it. That's another thing. This is way off subject, but it's another thing with Jordan. He'll do... I literally had a conversation with him where he was like, yeah, I hang out with a lot of people that are just liberal like me, and we just discuss our liberal politics. And then if we have a friend that's libertarian or conservative, we just don't talk to them about that stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe you should.
Yeah.
Like me, I mean, you're still friends with them and you don't want to get in a fight with them. But if you really think that you're going to change your opinion on this person based on their political views, maybe you should look at yourself. Like, maybe you're the fucking problem. Like, because nobody could come to me with their political views and I'm going to hate them specifically for that. Or I'm going to change my opinion of them specifically for their political views, you know?
It's kind of how they handle it. You know what I mean? Like, there's like, some people go way overboard and they're ignorant. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, both sides.
Yeah, it happens on both sides. All right, what's your number 2?
Man, we barely talked about Prohibition.
yeah, it definitely went off on. Wait till I get to my number 1.
Beer's important. We got it. Alcohol. Okay, so I did the Salem witch trial.
Wait, go back. Prohibition bad. All right, continue.
Okay, Prohibition bad, but alcohol good. Anyways, so number 2, Salem witch trials. We know witches like happened between February of 1692 and May of 1693. So basically, to sum up quick, cancel culture of the 1600s. You didn't like.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Like, literally, if you didn't have the top last name and those people were feuding with somebody, you dead.
Yeah, and
you're dead.
It's McCarthyism is what it is, but it's pre-McCarthyism. It's before McCarthyism.
Like, I typed out all this shit and then I read more into it because you remember in school, did you have to read that play?
Yeah, The Crucible.
Right.
I did. I worked it.
Oh, word.
I did. Well, it was for kids, but I did do I worked it.
Well,
and we watched the movie with Daniel Day-Lewis and Winona Ryder.
I did that in English class. It was like, it's in the textbook. Like, you had to do it.
Yeah.
But I typed all this shit out, which in school you all know about it because it explains the specific family that like kind of what's like makes it known. But at the end I'm like, you know what? To make it short, basically cancel culture of the 1600s is what I typed. I'm like, it doesn't even need to go into detail.
Well, it's
like,
McCarthyism. Even cancel culture now is McCarthyism.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It's awful.
It's not that nobody deserves to get canceled.
Right.
That's the difference between cancel culture now and McCarthyism and Salem witch trials. Like, nobody necessarily deserves to get canceled for the things that they say.
Facts.
But
what they do, though.
Well, let me go back. Some people do deserve to get canceled.
Yeah.
Like, some people do say things that probably they do deserve to not be said. Like, if they're being serious, like if they're literally racist, if they're literally fucking part of the Aryan Brotherhood and saying that we need to exterminate the Jews or black people, then they should probably be quote unquote canceled. But when you talk about McCarthyism or the Salem witch trials, those people did not at all deserve what happened to them.
Like, there were a few pastors that like quit the church because I didn't write the name. I don't feel like going through the paragraph, but there were like two or three that were like part of the church and then they left for like financial reasons or like other reasons. Later on got hung because they were upset that they left the church.
Yeah, just
like,
because they left the church.
Just because they left it. Like, stuff like that. That's awful. See, now I feel like a lot of people are getting canceled for their past. And I feel like there should be a time limit of being able to, like, maybe a year or two. But some things are from, like, 6 to 10 years in their past when they're kids. People change. Like, I've changed. I used to be a shitty person. And now, like, my mindset it's completely different. Like, people change and people, like, racist remarks people have made in the past.
I mean, sometimes I feel like at the end of the day, if you feel like your entire life you've been a good person, you're probably still have always been a shitty person, and you're probably still a shitty person.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't look, if you don't look back in your past and say, okay, this is a time when I did something amoral that I shouldn't have done, then you're not looking at yourself honestly.
Now, people talking to children, like, I don't know if you pay attention really, but James Charles is a famous, like, really popular content creator and makeup artist.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, well, he just got canceled in quotes because he's of age and was trying to get underage to send him nudes through Snapchat and stuff. And he's popular, so a lot of these people didn't screenshot it because on Snapchat, if you screenshot a message, it tells the other person. So they would record it on another device.
Right.
And so they had all the receipts for it. And then now everybody's coming out about it all at once. And then YouTube has stopped putting ads on his video, so he doesn't get paid anymore. And what else? Oh, and then Morphe, which is a makeup brand, had like their most popular eyeshadow palette with him, took it away. And that sold out like 5 times, but they like took it off. Like,
see, and if he is soliciting nudes from children, then yeah, he deserves to be canceled.
But people are still like defending him, like this was in the past, and it's like no, it's kind of recent.
How far in the past?
Like this
how old was he, and how old were the kids? That's
He's
really
in his 20s. They're like one was like I'm about to turn 18, so he was 17, and a few were a little younger, and they would be like no, and he would send a nude of himself.
Oh yeah, so yeah, he should probably be more than canceled.
Yeah.
He should probably go to fucking jail.
Yeah,
like he sounds like he should go to jail.
Yeah,
you know. But it's when somebody. The thing that I have an issue with cancel culture is people will use it when they're jealous of somebody.
Yep.
You know, like they'll be like, which goes back to the Salem witch trials. You know, like those kids or those young ladies that accused people of being witches did it because they didn't want to get caught practicing witchcraft. At least that's how it was in the Crucible.
You want to know that is exactly what it is, and that's what Wikipedia talked about was that exact like that family. But you want to know what it is? Little Hope with Mary just saying that everyone did witchcraft and then they got killed.
Yep.
Like that's exactly what. So if anybody's interested in that, Little Hope is the perfect game because it's exactly that. You just get to control.
That's if I remember the Crucible right, that's what happened in the Crucible. Those girls were practicing witchcraft, probably not even seriously.
No,
just
they were
as
just
like
playing
children.
around. Yeah.
And then they got accused of being like they didn't want to be accused of being witches, so they just started accusing other people to divert away from them. And
so
I think that happens with cancel culture a lot. Like people who know that they've said and did shit in the past that's a little fucked up, even though they're sorry for it, they don't want to get in trouble for it, so they'd rather point out somebody else who did something fucked up and get them in trouble because then nobody's looking at them as being the problem, you know?
Exactly. And so the girls like made their own language. Like they were just being kids, you know, like
yeah, for sure.
And they were kind of acting off the wall. They were kind of acting weird and stuff, but they were just playing, but they were like they're demonic. Cuz they said they could see spirits. They said that, but they were kids. Like, I'm not saying maybe they didn't because I don't care. Like, people believe in what they believe. So maybe not. But, like, it was definitely cancel culture of the 1600s. 100%. Because the families that died were the ones that family was feuding with. They're like, that's them. Like, literally just, like, whoever they said died, hung, stoned to death.
Then John Proctor had an affair with one of those kids,
yes.
right?
Yep.
This is all the Crucible. I don't know how true the Crucible is.
It's pretty accurate to what... Yeah, it's almost exact. Like, the Crucible was pretty much spot on with names and everything.
Yeah, and I don't remember all of the names, but I know John Proctor, which was Daniel Day-Lewis, had an affair with Winona Ryder. And then Winona Ryder didn't want that getting out because she knew it would be bad for her own reputation, so she accused John Proctor of practicing John Proctor and Goodwife Proctor, or whatever the fuck they're called, of being witches and got them killed. As well as the other guy, the guy who got stoned to death.
Yeah.
Who kept asking for more stones.
I'm trying to look for names, but I can't. I did write it down, but I have a lot written down. But it's same. Yeah, John Proctor was definitely the dude. I don't think that was the wife's name.
Like it was Goody Proctor or something like that.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So that's what basically happened was they just canceled, like just killed whoever they wanted because they were fighting with them, and it happened. Or if someone made someone mad, they're like, they're a witch, and then they died. They got hung, stoned to death, a lot of different things. I think one was caught on fire, which was rare.
Yeah.
This is mainly being hung.
Now they're kind of celebrated, you know?
Yeah.
And like Salem especially, like people celebrate those people, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I want to go there.
At least their names get to be remembered.
I want to go. Like that's definitely a place I'm going to go eventually.
Also, before we move on real quick, since you brought up Little Hope, I started playing that a second time. It was a while ago. Mm-hmm. And the first time I played it, that judge, clearly Asian, right? He is. He's clearly Asian.
You think so?
Clearly,
yes.
The judge.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I was thinking of the college professor. I'm like, no, but yeah, you're right.
No, the judge. The first time I played it, I was like, it's so weird that they just dropped an Asian guy in here as the judge.
Yeah.
Because I doubt there was any Asian Puritans.
Why did
and
they
if
do
they
that?
were, I'll get there.
Oh,
if there were any Asian Puritans, I'm sure back then they would not allow them to become like as prominent as a judge.
Right.
But then after playing it again, the very first scene when the house burns down.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the movie is kind of comes back to the whole
character.
It comes back to the whole witch trial thing where the kid. The guy who he ends up being the one guy at the end, he was the kid and he got blamed. Originally, everybody thought that he burned down the house and killed his whole family.
Right.
They thought that because the judge is the first guy that saw him outside. When he goes outside and he's got the lighter in his hand and the guy's like, "What did you do?" That's the judge, because that's what they're basing it on. He judged him in that moment and thought he burned down his own fucking house and killed his whole fucking family.
That makes
so that's
sense.
why they made him the judge. Because he started telling everybody this kid's the one who fucking did it. Because he saw him with the matches in his hand when he came out the house.
Damn. Yeah.
So it was kind of like this whole allegory of this guy's passing judgment without actually knowing what's going on.
Okay.
But I noticed that recently. I wanted to bring it up.
He was clearly Asian, and I was just like, whatever, it's a video game. But okay,
I don't say it bothered me, but I noticed it, and I was just
sense.
like, it doesn't make any sense that he's Asian. But then after rewatching it, and you see it, I'm like, because I started playing it as soon as I finished it, I was like, I want to play it again, and I started it again, and right away I saw that guy outside the house. I was like, that's the fucking judge. That's what they're getting at. They're getting at that he's judging him for burning down the house.
That's a good game. That's my favorite. It's better than Man of Medan. By far.
I think I'd agree.
Yeah.
So my number 2 is the Colosseum.
So I don't really know much about that. I should have looked into it.
Well, the Colosseum is an amphitheater in the center of Rome, Italy. It was constructed between the years 72 and 80 AD by the Flavian dynasty. It was used for public spectacles such as mock sea battles, animal hunts, executions, reenactments of famous battles, dramas based on Roman mythology, and most famously, gladiatorial contests. It held an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 people. Most Romans' main source of entertainment. It was most Romans' main source of entertainment.
Okay, yeah, I know.
They brought in animals from Africa for hunts with the elaborate sets and movable trees and buildings, so they could actually it's like simulated hunting. And they would bring animals from other continents, like lions, hippos, bears, tigers, rhinoceroses, crocodiles. And they would just, let the animals out there with all these movable trees and objects, it's like a video game, basically, Or, yeah, but they would set the animal out, and then one of the champions or whatever, gladiators, whoever it was, hunters, I guess, would go out and just have to navigate all of these obstacles to try and hunt this animal.
Did we learn about this in school?
Not really.
Yeah, because I know of what you're talking about, but not enough to know. But that's fucking dope.
It's cool. I mean, it's the first form of entertainment, really. I mean, outside of plays, maybe plays were probably around before that.
I would watch that now. It's kind of illegal, but let's go.
Yeah, but it's also for the most part, it wasn't just hunting and mock battles. There was actual murder. They let slaves kill each other for fun, so they could watch it and enjoy it. Because the gladiators were sometimes volunteers looking for glory, but mostly slaves sent to die for the Romans' entertainment. Over the course of its 400-year use, it is believed that over 400,000 people died within its walls. Roman Emperor Trajan held a large-scale celebration of his victories over Dacia that involved 11,000 animals and 10,000 gladiators and lasted 123 days.
Fuck. So I'm gonna compare it to Shrek, because there's a part in Shrek where they it's that the prince dude's making Shrek and Donkey fight all the stuff in this big. It's the same thing.
In the first Shrek?
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Lord Farquaad,
Fuckwad.
douchebag. Yeah, he's the one that makes them fight all these people, Donkey and him, right away when they first go there. When they do love you, such a perfect, right after that part.
I remember that being the funniest part of the movie. and the guy, the Lord Farquaad, is with the giant head.
Yeah,
the mascot. He's going back and forth in the fucking thing, and Shrek just walks straight.
But they go into a big thing, and then they fight a bunch of the knights and shit in this big thing while the king, he's a prince, like watches.
Right.
So it's same. It's kind of same.
Yeah, that's
what it made me think of.
I guess that's what that was just the entertainment
yeah.
back then. They wanted to watch people die. We do the same thing now. We watch horror movies and action movies. It's just
It does make me happy.
It's just fake. We know that what we're watching isn't real. But back then, that's all they had. There was no movies or anything. If they wanted to watch death, they had to watch real people fucking kill each other.
Also made me think of fucking Django Unchained. Just watched that on Saturday when they make them fight to death.
Yeah,
and have the stronger
slaves.
slave. Oh my! There's so many uncomfortable parts in that film. Like, it's a good overall, great movie, but like when the dog part. Not to go off of your topic yet again, but like it's
whatever.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, go off.
The dog part when they have the dogs rip up that guy. Holy fuck! Like I can't. It doesn't give me anxiety. It just makes me really uncomfortable though. It's like it's fucked up because that's what they did for real.
Yeah,
and it's like fuck, dude. Like it's awful. I don't understand racism at all.
Well, you better believe that the people in the Coliseum were just as happy to see the person get tore up by a bear as they were.
Yeah.
Probably more happy to see like the animals win than they were the people.
Yeah.
Like,
that's awful.
A lot of them were hunters themselves, so watching somebody hunt is probably wasn't as entertaining. But watching somebody get mauled, they were probably like, "Yeah."
Why is that a thing?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, why are people into that?
I think it's just because we are, at the end of the day, we are animals.
That's
we
valid.
Have set a life for ourselves where we don't have to be the ones to go out and do that savage shit, but that it's still in us. We still have that in us, Every one of our ancestors had to fucking kill to survive. It's just a fact of life.
I wonder if like a killer, like a serial killer, like used that as their like defense. At the end of the day, we're just animals. Like, this is what we're born to do. Like,
I'm sure all of them feel that way.
That's a good defense, honestly.
I'm sure all of them feel that way. It's definitely. I mean, that's not going to get you off.
No, but I mean,
like, any judge that hears that is just like, oh, okay, you're going to jail.
I wanted to go to school for psychology for the longest time because I want to understand their mind. Like, it's definitely a mental thing. Like, they definitely have a different like switch up there that makes them think the way they do, and I want to understand it. I don't want to kill people. I just want to understand like. Because, I mean, I'm not saying that what they do is right at all, but it's definitely something in their brain that's, like, okay with what they're doing.
It's a disease.
Yeah, and I want to understand.
We don't want to look at it as a disease because we just want to hate those people.
Yeah, but it is a disease.
Mm-hmm. The same thing with, like, pedophilia.
Yeah.
Just any kind of, you could even say kleptomania. Speaking of Winona Ryder, she got in trouble. She was a fucking millionaire, and she got in trouble for shoplifting. She didn't need the shit that she shoplifted. She just got a rush out of it.
I can't get in trouble for this, but when I was younger, definitely was a klepto. When I was like a junior, senior, and you get in this mindset of like, why pay for that if you don't have to?
Yeah, I know I can just take it.
Yeah, like if like the camera, like in Canton, a lot of places where like, I'm not gonna say the stores because I don't want to get in trouble, but like a lot of the cameras weren't working in some and whatever, and that. So it's like, why would I pay for this if I can just slip it in my pocket, slip it in my bag?
Especially like when you get to like big supermarkets like Walmart and shit.
Yeah.
None of those fucking. I worked at Walmart. Nobody cares if you steal from Walmart. Not a single employee gives a fuck if you steal from Walmart. I remember finding some empty DVD cases in the soda aisle, and I took it and I took it to the fucking the place you're supposed to put it, like the breakage place, whatever the fuck they call it. And I remember talking to my boss about it. I was like, I found these. What do I do with them? And he's just like, oh, looks like somebody made away with a couple DVDs. He doesn't care. Yeah. His life is not affected at all. You know?
I would have never stolen from, like, I've never stolen from, like, a person I care about. Like, I have respect. I have. But, who cares about a store? Like, that's not, I don't know. I don't do it now because, like, now I'm of age and can get arrested and stuff.
Yeah.
But like
it's a little scarier now.
Yeah, but at the time I like did not give a fuck, and you definitely get into a mindset of like I can do it, like it's easy, why pay for it?
Sometimes I'll get into that, like I feel like I have that thievery mind just because I did do it a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
Cuz even like when I probably shouldn't admit this because I never act on it, but even like being around my friends, if my friend leaves a 20 around, I look at it and I'm like, I could just take that and they'd never know. I never do it.
Yeah.
Like, I've never done it.
Because you care, yeah.
But it crosses my mind every time, and I'm just... Because then my next thought is like, man, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think everyone has shitty thoughts. Like, I don't know. I just want to understand people's mind. Like, I really try. And I feel like I can sometimes just, like, read someone really well. But it's like, I want to understand, like, a serial killer's mind. Like, I don't want their mind, but I want to understand their mind to be, like, maybe prevent it in the future. Like, see, like, some signs of some people and maybe get help early on.
yeah.
Like, I want to help people, too. But it's like, damn.
I mean, that's why I'm into serial killer shit, too. I'm not into it because I respect those people.
Yeah. It is interesting, though. Like...
Mm-hmm.
They literally can just... I watched a video people put on TikTok, some shit of, like, recordings of other things, and then it gets deleted because it's bad and people report it. But I watched this thing of, like, a before and after of these kids that went and killed a, like, girl that they went to school with, knowing they're going to be home alone for the weekend. She's going to be home alone for the weekend. And, like, they were like, we're going to come over and chill. And then before, they're like... yeah, we're gonna go kill this girl. It's gonna be like they're all happy. Then afterwards, you can tell they're like scared, but they're happy that they did it. They're like, it was such a rush.
Right.
It was like awesome and stuff. It's like, damn. Like,
But the thing is, if I ever think about killing somebody, probably shouldn't say that.
I've
but
never
if I
thought about
ever
Yeah.
think about killing somebody, like my thought is, if I kill somebody, I'm gonna feel bad about it.
same. Yeah.
I've never thought like, oh, it'd be such a rush. It'd be so cool to kill somebody. I've always thought because putting it in like say an accidental death.
Ooh,
Say I
yeah.
accidentally hit somebody with my car or something.
That's like your biggest fear.
Well, yeah, we did
So-
talk about that, but but it's still like I don't think like, oh, it'd be such a rush. Like even just killing somebody in self-defense.
Yeah.
That even makes me think, oh, I'm gonna regret it and feel shitty about it the rest
Like,
of my
what
life.
if this happened instead so they could still be alive? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so what's your number 3?
Okay, so Woodstock, the 1969 one. First of all, I think I was supposed to be born during that time period. Like, it resonates in me to be, like, I love it. So I love 70s music. Love it. I love all, like, a lot of the bands. Like, I watched this documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Woodstock 1969. Y'all should check it out because it's awesome. It literally, so I did look it up on Wikipedia, but I already watched the doc, so like it pretty much said everything that is I wrote down. So basically, these people, I'm not going to say names because I don't remember names. I don't feel like reading. So the people that ran it, they originally had this place set up and they already advertised it. They're like, it's going to be here. They started building the stage and everything, putting so much money into this. And then the dude's like, no, because the town's like, we don't want to if it's going to have more than this many people. So they're like, well, fuck, it's going to have way more than this. They already paid for the tickets. So then they last minute, like a week before, they already spent like most of their money. And the week before, they found this other place in New York. And then the guy's like, yeah, it's on this dude's farm. He got a lot of shit for it. He's like, I know this is going to ruin my fields. Like, it's going to fucking ruin everything. And then they had to decide between building a stage or building a fence to keep like the people that haven't paid out. But so they built the stage instead. So a lot of people got in for free. Like, it was super packed.
Yeah, people came from all over the country
Yeah.
for it.
And then the first band they got, that was $10,000, which they said then was equivalent to $70,000 now. They paid for Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR.
Great band.
Yeah, that was the first big band that was like, yeah, let's do it. And then after that, a whole bunch of other big bands like joined. And then, so it was like some people had to come in on like a helicopter to get there. Like, it was a huge clusterfuck. Like, there were nonstop like traffic. People got out of their cars and just parked in the middle of the road and walked.
And just walked there, yeah.
Yeah, like it was insane. Like, I just love that vibe. Like, people literally out there selling acid for $1 and shit. Like,
And they
I
had
just
there's
wanna
like
be
that
there.
famous I think it's actually a clip where the guy came up on stage and was like, anybody who took the purple acid, go to the medical tent.
Yeah.
Because they had like some tainted acid there. And yeah.
yeah, it was just everyone. Like, there were not really any fights. They didn't have police. I forget their names and I didn't look it up. But they had like this group of people that was like a group formed back then to like kind of be security. But they were like intense and stuff and they were really chill. They would just like go up to you and be like, yo, stop. Like, they weren't like very mean, but they were like they brought their whole family, like kids and
It's
stuff.
like hippie security.
Yeah, they were some like pigs. Like they had pig in their name or something like that. But they were really dope people. That they were pretty popular because they kept everything basically under control, like they were supposed to do, and they were like cheap. But like all the big bands were $10,000, and the dude was like bankrupt after this. But he also made a shit ton of money out of it too.
The guy who owned the farm.
No, the dude that ran it, like he had like no money afterwards, really. Of
Yeah,
doing
the guy
it.
who owned the farm probably made good money. They made a movie about him. Not the dude who made it, but the guy who owned the farm.
Really?
It was called Taking Woodstock, I think is what it was called.
He got a lot
Starring
of
Dimitri
shit from
Martin.
the town.
The guy who owned the farm. Well, it was like a family. The movie was about like the son who convinced his parents to do it because
really?
they were losing money. I don't remember very much of the movie. I know Dimitri Martin played the kid, and the only scene I remember, and I think this is funny, and it might be a little racist, but they were like a really hardcore Jewish family, and they wanted to get Woodstock there because they didn't have any money. They were literally like they were going to lose their farm, and it was like at the time they're like, this is the only thing that's going to save us. And then after they like got all the fucking paperwork done, he ended up finding like stacks of money in his mom's closet. And he's like, what is this? I thought we were poor. And it was something like $60,000 and just straight cash in the closet.
Dude, that's funny. That's funny.
And his mom was just like uber Jewish. Like when he finds it, she like hugs it. She's like, no, get away from my money.
That is it's funny though. Well, I'll allow that. That's fucking funny. But afterwards, like it was obviously like most of the dude's land that was taken up, destroyed. It rained and everyone was on it. It did suck because like the sleeping situation was kind of like non-existent. Like you just slept where you sat the whole time.
Yeah.
Getting to bathrooms wasn't possible.
Yeah,
Everyone
there was
was
just
dirty.
too many people.
But like good, like it was just a good time. Like I would die to be there. Like then, like that would be so. But afterwards, only a few people stayed to pick up, so it was dirty as fuck. It took them a few days to even get it completely cleaned. So it probably destroyed the dude's land. Like he probably did lose money that way.
I'm sure they made a ton of money off of the people and the bands and shit.
Yeah, but it's like still sucks though. Like
who's your favorite band that performed, or maybe a favorite performance that you've seen?
I love the Jimi Hendrix solo, that guitar thing. Was it the
He did the national anthem. Didn't
national? I have it on my phone. I actually downloaded like every song. Like there's a playlist on Spotify that was every song that was played at Woodstock, and I downloaded it. And I love a lot of it. I do like CCR. They're a good band, very good band. Let me see. I wrote down all of them. Grateful Dead.
Fuck the Grateful Dead.
Really?
I hate the Grateful Dead.
I like them. I have a cool shirt too. But I'm one.
They got I like Fire on the Mountain is like the only song that I like by them.
Janis Joplin was pretty cool. She wasn't gonna go. The Who was there.
I like the Who. I have trouble liking the Who now because Pete Townsend got caught with like child porn on his fucking computer.
Oh really?
And
that
was really upsetting to me because I'm a big fucking Who fan. I love their music.
Yeah, but I do like Janis Joplin though. She's like a whole vibe. Like she's like insane. She's crazy.
I always like Janis Joplin too. I can't think of any of her songs right now though.
But if I heard it, I would know it's her. Yeah, same. But because she has a very distinct voice. But like I watched like the documentary on Netflix is like it played like a lot of the like there were a few bands that played like a song for the first time there. I can't think of who the fuck it was. Richie Havens, he was one. Played a few new songs there.
Isn't the Arlo Guthrie's was it the Thanksgiving Day Massacre?
Yeah.
Isn't that recording? Isn't that the one they always play? Is the one straight from Woodstock? Isn't it?
Yep. That's like there's a few of them that only has that. Like yeah, it's weird, but Richie Havens he was the first performer, and he had to get helicoptered in to even be there on time because they already waited a long time, and it was raining, and it was like a really bad like to get there sucks for everybody, unless you're first. But it went on from August 15th, Friday, to like August 18th, which is Sunday. But then the people that ran it like stayed a few more days to clean up and stuff. But at least they did that. At least they didn't just be like, all right, take down the stage, bye. But they started building. Yeah. They started building a fence, but they never got it finished because they didn't have enough money and everything already started.
Yeah,
so,
they didn't have much time because they had to change it. They had to change
they only had a
location.
week. They almost didn't even have. They didn't know if the electric stuff was gonna work because they had to build towers for all of the speakers, and it was just.
And it was just on a farmhouse. They can't possibly have that much power running to a farmhouse.
Yeah,
to
it was just a
support so many bands.
clusterfuck. It was literally a clusterfuck last minute. Probably the most stressful time of that dude's life.
The crazy thing is, it's been 50 years, and every time Woodstock comes back around, it feels the same way. It feels like nobody fucking prepared for this, even though they've been doing it for 50 fucking years.
Yeah, like figure it out.
Nobody's figured it the fuck out. Even when they were wanting to do it in 2000, or no, I guess it was 2020 when they wanted to do it, because they ended up not. Maybe it was 2019. They were going to do it in Watkins Glen.
Yeah,
they were going to do it in Watkins Glen, and they were getting everybody pumped up to do it in Watkins Glen. But then, the more you looked into it, the more you're like, oh, they're still not fucking prepared for this.
Yeah,
this is Fire Festival #2 in the making, because everybody just has these grand ideas and nobody knows how to act on them because they're not willing to talk to the people that are actually professionals. And I'm saying that as somebody who's in that profession. Like, they do not talk to the fucking professionals on what they need to get done.
We should do a Woodstock. Like, that should be a goal.
I mean, they still do it every year.
I know, but I want to do one because I'm passionate about it. It's literally my favorite thing. I love the Woodstock. Like,
well, if they ever actually do it at Watkins Glen, I would say we can go. But then again, the fucking tickets are like $250 each.
That's fine. I'd pay it. I really would. I fucking would.
And it's not like it's any of the hippie bands from back then. It's like Jay-Z and fucking
that's true.
Kanye West
or country or
Beyonce
some fucking dumb
shit.
You're right. Just then, like, 70s music's great. Like, I love all of that. Like, it makes me so happy. But what's your number one?
My number one as a conspiracy theorist is the JFK assassination.
Yup.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy was the 35th president of the United States of America, he was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963, while riding in the presidential motorcade through Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas.
So before you get into the actual details of what we know, what do you think happened? Do you think what we were taught happened?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
God, no.
I don't want you to read what you don't believe. Like, you're going to read
The Warren
facts.
Commission is fucking bullshit, man. The Warren Commission does not... No, I picked this as my number one because it is widely believed to be the birth of conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Many people believe the man charged with the murder, Lee Harvey Oswald, did not act alone. Some people even believe that members of the Kennedys' own cabinet and even the CIA were involved. Former Los Angeles District Attorney Vincent Bugliosi, who's also a piece of shit, estimated that a total of 42 groups, 82 assassins, and 214 people had been accused at one time or another in various conspiracy scenarios surrounding the assassination. The Warren Commission proposed that a single bullet caused 7 entry and exit wounds on Kennedy and the governor in the front seat. The Zapruder film uses evidence of a second gunman. In the Zapruder film, uses evidence of a second gunman. You can see bullet impacts coming from multiple directions.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of docs on. I don't believe it happened. There's it's obvious that it didn't happen the way they say.
I thought I wrote it down, but the Warren Commission has this fucking magic bullet theory, or they call it like they call it something else. Magic bullet theory is what the conspiracy theorists call it.
I've heard it call it that. That's what I know it as.
Yeah, and they say that the bullet entered him in one direction, came out, and then turned around and came back in another direction, and then left and went into the governor that was sitting in the front seat. A lot of people don't know that the governor in the front seat also got shot.
I did know that. I love the scene. This is gonna sound morbid as fuck, but how his wife tries to catch it. Girl. Everybody says that she tries to go out the back of the fucking car to get a piece of his head and put it back on his fucking head. I don't think that's what happened. I think she was fucking scared. Yeah, she's probably
trying to get the fuck out of here.
No, you're right, but it does look like she tries to catch it, and it's like, girl, just get down, get down.
No, I think legitimately what's happening is she's like, I'm getting the fuck out of this car.
Out, yeah,
I don't want to be in this car because bullets are flying everywhere.
That's true. I would try to get down though.
I assume she saw a piece of her husband's head fly the fuck off and was like,
fuck.
He's fucked. Goodbye.
Yeah. What I would do though,
and then you see sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
you're good.
You.
What?
But you see in the video, when they kind of zoom out, you can see, I can't remember if I think it's somebody in the motorcade behind them, Secret Service agent, jumps out of that car and tries running to get to his, I can't remember what his fucking wife's name is now, but tried to like jumped out of the car that he was in and tried to run up to try and get her.
Yeah.
And there's like all these rumors that those two had an affair. Like there was rumors of that before the assassination, and then it's like everybody, and that was another thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's trying to get up there and save the president," and it's like, "No, I think he's trying to go up there and get his girl." Like,
isn't the Kennedy family? Is that the one that had like the long HBO like series of how like they're all dead and shit? Like, is that the family?
I mean, a lot of the Kennedys have been assassinated,
but mysteriously, right? Like with no, like they just.
I wouldn't necessarily say. I mean, obviously, I guess.
What's
I guess
another
you could say
family that has like all
mysteriously.
their family members dead? I feel like it's the Kennedys.
I mean, you're probably thinking of the Kennedys.
Yeah, I think
his brother was assassinated.
Yeah.
Robert Kennedy was assassinated. I think his son just recently was killed in like a plane accident or something.
Yeah,
like
this
that.
doc came out in like 2013. I still lived at home, so like 2012, 2013 is when the doc came out. It was on HBO, and it was like many parts.
It's a very controversial family because the Kennedys. People think that the Kennedys, that JFK's dad had mob connections. I don't even know if that's, people think that. I think that might just be fact that he had connections with the mob, and he used the mob to get his son into the presidency. And like that's one of the scenes in the movie The Irishman is like mob people like gathering up people to vote for, like gangsters gathering up people and forcing them to vote for JFK. That was one of the scenes in The Irishman, and a lot of people believe that that's what happened. Was the mob got Kennedy into the presidency, and I think a lot of members of the mob believe that too. They say we got him there, and then they started hating on him because he started cracking down on criminal organizations, and that was the big thing. Like we got you there, and now you're fucking us. So that's another group of people that people think may have set up the assassination.
What do you believe?
What do I believe?
The mob thing sounds pretty.
I think the government had something to do with it before the mob did.
Yeah, the government sucks,
If the mob was involved, they worked with the government. Do you know who Woody Harrelson is?
Yeah.
His dad is a hitman for the mob.
Really?
Yeah, and I think he's dead now, but he died in jail because he got convicted of carrying out mob hits. And at one point in his life, he said that because people believe that there's a grassy knoll that they were passing by, and people believe that somebody shot from the grassy knoll as well. And he has claimed in the past that he was the guy on the grassy knoll who shot Kennedy.
Oh, word. Wow.
But I don't know.
That's interesting.
Because there's also another belief. There's a picture you can find online of a different angle right before the shot took place, right before the assassination took place. And there's a Secret Service agent in the car in front of them. I think it's the one in front of them, and he's pointing his gun, not like he's gonna shoot, but he's like holding his gun in the direction of the president. And some people think what happened is after the first shot was taken and it hit Kennedy, the whole motorcade stopped. And some people think that when that motorcade stopped, that Secret Service agent who's holding that gun accidentally pulled the trigger, and that was the second bullet that hit Kennedy.
Oh, that's a good theory, too.
I don't know if I believe it or not, though.
No, that's too...
Conspiracy theorists go real hardcore, and they try to say, like, there's no way that Lee Harvey Oswald could have taken that shot and hit him in the head, and I call
he was,
bullshit
like,
on
in a
that.
building, right? Like, he's like...
Yeah, and he was in, like, an old abandoned library or something like that, and I call bullshit on that theory.
Like, you don't think he did it at all?
I'm sure he took a shot. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
I call bullshit on saying like the people that say he could not have made that shot.
Okay.
I know enough hunters who shoot deer at fucking 300
fuck
yards while they're fucking running at full speed. He totally could have fucking shot somebody in the head from the distance.
They were
I
driving
think
slow.
he was. Yeah, they were driving real slow, and I think it was like 100 yards away. And there's so many hunters out there who are fucking dead eye at 100 yards.
Yeah.
And people say the gun, it was a Carano. They say that gun isn't accurate enough. And if I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're familiar with that fucking gun and you shoot it all the time, and Lee Harvey Oswald's wife has come out and said, yeah, he used to sit on his fucking porch and practice loading and unloading and reloading and unloading.
Yeah, dude, if you're going to assassinate a president, you're going to practice. Like, you're not just going to go in, like, no education and just shoot a gun.
Yeah, and that's why I see that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he definitely could have taken that shot.
Yeah.
He could have made that fucking shot.
If it's only 100 yards away, then
yeah, that's
that.
nothing for, I mean, you've lived around here for your whole life just like I had. I'm sure you know plenty of people that could make that shot.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of fucking people. People zero
almost
in their
anybody
fucking
who
guns.
lives here, honestly. Any older man, definitely.
Anybody who owns a gun,
yeah,
and is like a gun enthusiast and actually goes out and shoots it all the time. You
Side
understand?
Note, I feel like I could.
Yeah.
I used to like target when I was younger with like a 22 would like, and they were far away, more than 100 yards. I feel.
Mm-hmm. But that's why, like, it's a tough thing. I don't know what happened. I'm more willing to accept that I'm not sure what happened, but I know it didn't happen the way that they said it happened. You know, any one of these maybe there was somebody on the grassy knoll. Maybe it was just a freak accident and the Secret Service accidentally shot him in the head.
Like he was scared, yeah.
Yeah, like not even that he was scared. He accidentally pulled the trigger because the vehicle, he was standing
That's
up
true.
in a vehicle, and the vehicle came to a screeching halt.
So
It's
like,
entirely possible
yeah.
if he's got a hair trigger that he accidentally pulled that trigger and it coincidentally was pointed directly at the fucking president's head.
You could never get away with that shit now. Everybody has their phone out.
Yeah, everybody's got a camera.
You would never.
The famous thing, we grew up with that film, but for, I want to say 20 years, they didn't have that.
Oh.
Like, that came out, the Zapruder film came out way after, like after the Warren Commission came out and everything.
Wow, okay.
So I think it's entirely possible. Everything is possible. You know, I think the only way that I can look at it is we don't know 100% what happened.
He died. He was assassinated, and it wasn't just the Oswald dude. It was definitely
it probably wasn't. And the fact that they made up this magic bullet theory and
is it dumber?
Well, it's but the reason that they did it, that's why maybe the Secret Service guy accidentally doing it makes sense, because they want to. If this dude did it on accident, they don't want to bury him for
That's
it. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe
they don't.
He kind of admitted. He's like, but it legit was an accident. Like,
I mean, at that point, he doesn't even have to admit he was in a fucking car with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, they all could have possibly seen what happened and been like, we gotta fucking figure out a way to not let this guy get buried for something that he did on accident.
That's true.
Especially since it was the second bullet that hit the guy's head, and chances are that first bullet was the one that killed him.
I want to believe that, so I feel better about it.
See, that's the teddy bear version. Like, that's the one that
I
you're
like that
this,
one.
Yeah, this is the one that makes me feel nice and fuzzy inside. I don't have to question anything. But
I remember in high school, my history teacher, we were learning about this, and he was drilling that it was just like what we learned. He's like, but he was making it conspiracy wise, but that he's right. He's like, this is what happened. All of your guys is whatever. And then my cousin, who's like conspiracy theorist, stoner like you are, like almost exactly. He was just like, you're part of the government. And like, Mr. Kirby made him go to the office.
That's bullshit. Let the kid think what he's gonna think.
Yeah.
Like, don't fucking push your views, because you, at the end of the day, if you take the time to research it, look at all the subject matter, the only way that you can do is what I just said. Is we don't know what happened that day.
But my cousin was just being funny.
Yeah.
He was like, you're part of the government, whatever. And then
my buddy Wes got in trouble for that, because we had a I don't think he got in trouble, but he got chastised. We had a sub teacher. It was a woman. I don't remember what her name was. But she was going on about, I can't remember, somehow, like, in the class, we started talking about 9/11, and my buddy Wes was just like, Rudy Giuliani's a terrorist. And she just ripped him a new asshole for saying that, and be like, it's ridiculous to think that was set up. It was Afghanistan or whatever. It was the Taliban that did this. How dare you say something like that? And he's just, I don't know, it was just funny.
The 9/11, man, it's too soon. See, another reason why I didn't bring it kind of is too soon. Like, there's people that still have families affected by it. Like, you know what I mean? So it is a touchy subject, but like,
I mean, come on. It's a fishy subject is what it is.
Very fishy subject. Like, it sucks that people's family, like, so many people have died from that, and it's very tragic, but like, come on. Like, it was definitely...
We definitely knew something about it. Dick Cheney especially, he knew something. He knew that there was going to be an attack that day, and he let it happen. Whether he was involved in the attack directly, but he let it happen because he knew it would benefit his company.
Facts.
He knew that it
He
would
made money.
benefit. Yeah, he knew that he would make money off of a war that's been going on for 20 years now.
Yep. Bush 9/11 and Dick Cheney made money from it.
Yep. Dick Cheney is probably one of the worst people to have ever lived.
Yeah.
And on that note, that was everybody's top 3 historical moments.
Peace.
I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.